for the record say and spell your first and last name, please.
Roger, R-O-G-E-R. Last name Brown, B-R-O-W-N.
Proceed.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brown. I'm going to ask you a few questions from the time frame back in 2017, okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, first of all, let me ask you, showing people's 14, do you recognize that person?
Yes.
Who is that?
Robert Baker.
How do you know Robert Baker?
I met Rob in 1997, and we used to play racquetball together. We used to play chess together. I used to run a strip club, and he used to manage porn stars.
Okay. Wait, this is back during what time frame that you ran the strip club?
This was like from 97 to 2005.
And sometime during that time frame, you met Rob Baker?
Yes. I met him in July of 97.
Okay, and then you became friends with Mr. Baker?
Yeah.
All right. You talked about, did you say you played racquetball?
Yes.
And where was that at?
We used to play at LA Fitness.
Go ahead.
I had memberships there, so we used to play on Reseda and Coldwater.
What city is that one in?
Reseda is in Reseda. No, Reseda was in Granada Hills. And the one on Coldwater, I would consider that North Hollywood.
197. Did you ever play racquetball with Baker in the Woodland Hills LA Fitness?
No.
Okay. Your history then with Baker, would you say you were friends?
Yes.
And through the years you developed a friendship. Are you still consider yourself a friend of Robert Baker?
Yes.
Okay. You know he was arrested in June of 2017, correct?
Yes.
And since then, have you had many phone calls with Baker while he's been in jail or in custody?
No phone calls.
Ever?
Well, we had phone calls in the beginning, but not lately.
Okay, so in the first several years, or I shouldn't say several, first few years, you had a lot of phone calls with Baker.
I had a few. I used to go visit him.
And how many times did you visit him approximately?
Well, I couldn't tell you that. I don't know.
Okay, so more than 10?
About 10, maybe a little more. I'm not sure.
And when was the last time approximately that you spoke to Baker?
Last year. I can't remember when last year, but last year.
Sometime last year. All right. Back in 2017, and specifically January, February time frame, were you living in this apartment complex?
Yes.
Now, during that time frame, did Baker come to visit you? And I'm talking about the January, February time frame of 2017.
Yes.
Do you recall when that was?
I would say probably just before Valentine's Day. And I don't even know how long he stayed. I can't remember that.
Okay. So before Valentine's Day, and that's in February of 2017, he came to visit you.
Correct.
And why did he say he was there?
He showed up, and normally people don't just show up. They call and let me know, hey, I'm coming by. And then he said, man, you don't look good. You okay? So I told him, I said, my mother had just died. And I had just buried her on the 21st of January, 2017. And so he said, hey, man, I'm going to stick around, man, to make sure you're okay. So I said, okay. I wasn't all there at that time.
Because you were dealing with your own family issues. During this time frame, then in February of 2017, this initial visit, when he showed up at your apartment, did he call you first?
No.
Okay. And when he showed up, then did he tell you about anything that had happened about somebody dying or being murdered, anything of that nature?
No.
Now, when he first showed up at your apartment in February of 2017, initially comes in, did he tell you if he was dating anyone?
I already knew he was dating someone.
When did you know he was dating someone?
I don't really know. Probably 2016. I can remember that him and her came to my birthday party at El Casa Grande in Granada Hills.
Okay. Do you know who? When you say her, do you know the name of that person?
You want her real name or the name that I know?
The name you knew her as.
Madonna.
Do you see Madonna in court?
Yes.
Can you please identify where she's sitting and what she's wearing?
She's sitting right there wearing like a beige outfit.
Indicating the defendant.
So is it fair in 2016, around your birthday, you said June is when you first met who you referred to as Madonna, who's been identified as the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Did Baker identify her as Madonna, or did she identify herself as Madonna, if you know?
Baker introduced me to her as Madonna.
Okay. And did she respond and correct him in any way?
No.
So as far as you knew, her name was Madonna.
Yes.
Then that birthday party, did you have any particular interaction with the defendant?
No.
From June 6, 2016 until he showed up at your house in February of 2017, did you see her at any time in between then?
Repeat that?
Did you see her from the date of your birthday in 2016 until Baker came to your house in February
Yes.
for Valentine's Day? Did you see her during that time frame?
Yes.
Where did you see her?
He brought her to my apartment.
When did he bring her to your apartment? I know. Estimates.
I know it was February 2017. I can't tell you the dates.
So February 2017 is when he showed up and said he was going to stay with you, right?
Yeah, he said I'm gonna stay here for a couple of days to make sure you're okay.
Before that, had he ever brought her to your apartment?
No.
So that was the first time, and we'll get to that in February?
That he brought her to my apartment? Yes.
Okay. So now in February, when is the first time that you saw her again since your birthday? He's at your
February.
apartment. Okay, he's at your apartment, then what
Yeah.
happens?
He came by and, that was it.
Okay, so did you go somewhere to meet her?
Did I go somewhere to meet her?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I did take him to meet her at a Starbucks.
And was there any interaction that you had with her there?
No.
After that, did Baker stay with you then for approximately a week or 5-7 days, something like that?
Something like that.
Okay. During that time frame, did he bring the defendant over to your apartment?
One time.
And when was that? Was it during the day, at night, if you remember?
I can't remember. I think it was the evening time.
Did she spend the night, if you know?
No.
Was she there for a long time, if you know?
I don't know because I went to sleep.
Now, is this a one-bedroom or a two-bedroom that you have?
It's a one bedroom.
Where did Robert sleep then when he stayed there?
On the couch.
The time that she was at the apartment then, anything unusual happened that caught your attention, that you remember?
No.
Did you have any interaction with her, talk to her in the apartment?
No.
So where were they if you had a one-bedroom?
I was in the bedroom, they was in the living room.
Okay, and you went to sleep.
I went to sleep.
So you don't know what time she left?
No.
When you woke up in the morning, she was gone?
Yes.
Now, during that time frame, what did Rob Baker drive?
He was driving his Ford Expedition, a black one.
People's 142 then. Is that the Ford Expedition?
Yes.
Where did he park that Expedition?
He parked it in my parking spot in the garage.
Now, this particular photo, is that your parking garage, if you can tell?
I don't know.
Okay. You had one spot in your parking garage?
I had one spot.
And you let him park there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at some point, he stayed there for several days. Do you know why he was staying in your apartment? Meaning, do you know if he said he wanted to stay with you to help you, but do you know if he had a place to stay?
Yes.
And where did he stay then?
I think it was off of Necker and Independence.
Had you been to his apartment before?
After he got arrested, never before.
Now, as of the date that he's staying with you then, when he left, did he tell you where he was going?
No.
Is there a reason why he left your apartment?
Sustain.
Is there, so he stayed with you for 5, 6, 7 days, right?
Okay, the reason why he said he was staying with me, he said, man, you don't look good. Are you okay? I told him that my mother had just passed away. And I told him that we buried her on the 21st of January, 2017. He said, hey, man, I'm going to stay with you a few days just to make sure you're okay.
After those days ended, do you know where he went to go stay?
I would assume he went back to his apartment.
Sustain.
So you don't know where he went after.
No, I don't.
Sorry, thank you. But you stated that you went to his apartment on Independence after he got arrested. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did you go there for?
We went to get some of his stuff, you know, from, who was his roommate? I think his roommate name was Anthony. We just went to get some of his items.
You said we went to get it. Who
Yes.
did you go with?
A friend of mine.
Okay. And why were you getting some of his stuff?
Because his room was going to be, somebody else was going to move into his room.
So you knew the roommate and you coordinated with the roommate, Anthony Bailey?
I didn't know Anthony Bailey. I met Anthony Bailey that day we went to get the stuff out of the apartment.
And the other guy that you went with, who is that?
I have to say.
Overruled.
Just who went to the apartment with you?
Howard Lynch.
Okay. Let me mark this people's 211, a photograph of an individual labeled as Howard Lynch.
So mark.
Is that Howard Lynch?
That's Howard Lynch.
And how do you know Howard Lynch?
We used to play basketball together. We were good friends.
Go ahead.
That's it. We were good friends.
Did you know Howard Lynch, in your experience, to be friends with Baker as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We all played basketball together.
And Howard Lynch is an attorney?
Yes.
Now, after Baker left your residence, like meaning he wasn't staying there anymore, did you see him again after that? And that's February of 2017.
I can't remember.
At
I
some
would assume I did, but I can't remember.
why do you assume you did?
Because we all used to play basketball together like on a Saturday.
So after he left your place from staying there in February of 2017, you're aware now that he was arrested in June of 2014, correct?
Yes.
Between that time, if you remember, do you know if you saw him? 2017.
Right.
I really can't remember. I'm not sure, but I would assume we did because we used to always play basketball on Saturday.
Sustain.
Were you visited then by the police at your apartment complex that I just showed you up on the screen?
Yes.
And can you explain how that came about?
Wow.
Overruled.
I was, somebody in the complex, I can't remember who, told me to call the guy in New Directions. I said, well, I'll just go down there. They said, no, call him. So I called him. He didn't pick up. So I went down. When I got down, he was sitting in the office with two guys. I assume two detectives. And they was talking about who lived in my apartment. And I told them that's me. They asked me, where do you park your car? I said, in the garage underneath. So they asked me the number. I said, I don't know the number. So we went downstairs and we looked at the number and I just showed them the spot. I still don't know the number. I just know where I parked. So then we came back upstairs and then he gave me some excuse that they was checking into vandalism in our complex. So I said, okay. So then they left. They came back 2 minutes. I would say 2 minutes to 4 minutes. They came back, but they came back with a third guy. And he asked me, he said, are you Roger Brown? I said, yes. He said, can we talk to you? I said, yeah. So we went into the community room. While we was in the community room, he asked me, he said, do you know a Robert Baker? I said, yes.
It's a narrative sustained in that room.
What happened next?
He asked me, he said, do you know a Robert Baker? I said, yes. He said, when was the last time that you seen Robert Baker? I said, last night.
Okay. So stopping there, you saw him then, that's on June 14th when you're talking to the detectives, right? 2017.
Yes.
So last night you saw him on June 13th, 2017. Where did you see him?
He had came to my apartment complex. And, yeah, he came to my apartment complex.
Okay, what did he come there for, or tell you he came there for?
He wanted to know had I seen a friend of mine.
Okay, what else did he tell you?
That was it.
Well, why did he want to see if you had
I
seen
don't
a
know.
friend of his?
No, a friend of
City, sir.
mine.
Sustained.
Right, did he tell you why?
No.
What did you tell him?
I lied.
I told him, I said, I haven't seen him. And then he asked me, could I get in touch with him? I said, I'll try.
Now, at that time, did he give you a phone number to contact him on?
He had gave me that phone number, I want to say before then.
Okay,
But, yes, he told me this is his new number.
so he gave you a new number.
Yes.
Now, how did you take that new number? Did you write it down? Did you put it in your phone? What did you do?
No, he told me he was going to call me from it, and that was his new number.
And did he call you from his phone for you to get that new number?
Yes.
Did you then provide that subsequently to the police?
Yes.
Let me mark a 3-page document as People's 212. And the first page is a photocopy of a business card with some writing on it, followed by a photograph of a phone. I'm going to show you page 2 of this. I'm gonna zoom
That's the
in.
number.
I'm sorry?
That's the number that he called me from.
Okay, we'll play on that. So, did you send this? This is actually a photograph of the phone. Did you send this to the police detective?
Yes.
And is that you writing above it, serial number of LAPD?
Yes.
Okay, so this number 1-747-888-2168, that's the number that Baker called you on and told you was his new number.
Correct.
Did he tell you then, and this is what time frame, when this phone call happened?
From the time that he actually came to visit me,
Yes.
I don't know how long I had that number for.
Just in a perspective, in February, did he give you a new number when he came and
That's
stayed
the
with
number
you?
that he gave me in February.
Okay. So from February until you sent it to the police on June 14th or 15th of
Yeah,
2017.
they asked me, did I have another number on him? I told them yes.
And that's the number that you communicated with Baker? That new number is what you used for him?
That was the number that I was using to get in touch with Rob Baker.
Okay,
yes.
thank you. What about his old number? Did he ever tell you that he was switching back to his old number?
No.
Still roll.
Oh, and one last thing. What do they call you? You have a nickname?
Yes.
What do they call you?
They call me B.
B
Just
as
the
in
letter
B?
B. B.
No, why do they call you B?
Well,
That's form sustained.
Did you pick your name as B?
yeah, I was always called B.
Why?
Because when I was in the military, my last name was Brown, and instead of calling me Sergeant Brown, they would call me, hey, Sergeant B, could you do that? When I got out of the military, they just stuck with B.
Do you know, if I may mark this People's 213, a photograph of an individual entitled Alfred Birdsong?
Yes.
Do you know him?
I know who he is.
Have you met him?
twice.
Okay, so is that Alfred Birdsong that you met?
Yes.
How did you meet him?
So rude.
The first time that I met him, I had to take a female porn star to Las Vegas, you know, to drop her off with him. The second time I met him, Rob introduced me to him. We went out to his house in Vegas.
So did you know this to be then a friend of Rob's?
Yes.
Okay. Did Alfred Birdsong call you Kelly B?
I don't know what he called me, but he always just say B. At the Cali, he could have said it, but I don't know.
Okay. Do you keep in communication after Rob got arrested then with Alfred Birdsong?
Still rude.
Yes, but not like. Okay, let me explain this.
There's no question.
Can I answer?
Do you keep in contact with Mr. Birdsong, yes?
Yes.
Regarding what?
Still rude.
When Rob was in jail, I was the only one that was going to visit him. And while I would visit him, I would give the report back to everybody else that knew Rob. If he was in good spirits, stuff like that.
Okay. Who were you reporting back to? You said everyone.
I was talking to Bird, all his friends, all our friends together, like, you know, like Howard, people that, you know, we all knew. I don't know everybody, but, you know, but I would let them know the day that I was going to visit Rob, and then I would come back and I would say, hey man, he's good, he's doing good, his spirits are high, like that.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown,
B.
Mr. Brown, the last time you saw Mr. Baker before you saw him in jail was June 13th, 2017. Is that right?
June, say that date again?
June 13th, 2017.
No.
Well, what date?
He wasn't in jail then.
No, I'm saying the last time you saw him
Before he went to jail.
Yes. Let me straighten that out a little more. The police saw you on June 14th, 2017, correct? Did you know why they were there?
No.
This is when you went down to New Directions, you said?
That was on the 13th. I went down there, but New Directions didn't tell me why they were there.
What is New Directions?
That's a veterans organization that, where I live at, it's the Veterans Village. Most of us that live there are veterans.
So you were, I'm sorry, you were living there at the time all this was happening that you discussed
Yes.
today? Because you're a veteran, correct?
Yes.
Of the Air Force, correct?
Yes.
Well, thank you for your service. Let me ask you this. When did you first meet, well, let me go back. So, the day before the police came to interview you, they interviewed you, right?
Yes.
You saw Mr. Baker.
The day before, yes.
Is that at night or during the day?
It was like midnight, like between 5 and 7.
Were you expecting him?
No.
He hadn't told you in advance he was coming?
No.
When was the last time you'd seen him before that night?
I don't remember.
Well, you said you saw him around Valentine's.
Well, I know we used to see each other play basketball.
Okay. Specifically, you said you had seen him around Valentine's Day of 2017, correct?
I said he came to my apartment during
Right.
that time.
You had been back east for the death of your mother, funeral, and so forth, correct?
Correct.
You had no plans to see Mr. Baker after the funeral, did you?
After my mom's funeral?
Yes.
No.
Okay. You had been friends with him for some time, since 1997, is that
July
about right?
1997.
Okay. So he just showed up on Valentine's Day or near Valentine's Day, which was a couple of weeks after you got back from the funeral, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You weren't expecting him.
I wasn't expecting it.
And when he showed up, you had a conversation. He said he didn't look too good,
He said
correct?
I didn't look too
Right. And you told him why, because your mother had just passed away,
Yes.
right? And he said he was going to stay with you a few days just to kind of
Keep an eye on.
keep an eye on you. Okay. That was unexpected, but you let him stay, right?
It was unexpected, and I just said, okay. I wasn't, you know,
It's fine with you.
yeah.
Okay. And he stayed about 5 to 7 days, right?
To be honest with you, I don't know how long he stayed, but it was, you know, in February.
Well, I mean, you know how long he stayed because one day you woke up and he was gone, right?
Well, he left. He told me he was going back to his apartment, I think. I'm not sure. I can't
Okay.
remember.
If I said you told the police it was about 5 to 7 days, would that refresh your memory that he actually stayed in your apartment and slept over? Does that sound right?
That could be right.
Okay. And during that time, you saw Monica Sementilli, who you knew as Madonna, lady at the end of the table. You saw her a couple of times, right?
I seen her on my birthday in 2016.
Okay.
Rob had brought her by the apartment one time, but I don't really remember too many times that I've seen her. I
You
don't
don't
know.
you don't remember much about her other than you saw her, correct?
Correct.
You had no conversations really meaningful with her,
Correct.
and it was just that she was with Rob.
Correct.
One was at Starbucks, I think you said,
Yeah, it was a Starbucks.
and then there was one time at a restaurant, correct?
That's why I had my birthday party. Yeah.
Okay. And other than that, you've never seen her before or since until today, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So after Rob stayed with you 5 to 7 days, he left eventually, right?
Yes.
Did he tell you he was going to leave today or the next day, or did
No.
you just looked and he was gone one
He
morning?
just like up and left.
And the next time you saw him turned out to be the night before he was arrested, right?
Yes.
Did you didn't know that at the time, obviously. Did you
No.
know? Did you know the next day, June 14th, 2017, he was arrested?
No, I didn't find that out for like a couple days after.
And how'd you find that out?
I was home one night sitting there watching the 11 o'clock news, and on the news, Rob Baker and young lady over there showed up on the news.
Okay, and the news was that they had been arrested.
Correct.
Okay. You had no idea that was going to happen, correct?
Correct.
You had no idea what Mr. Baker was arrested for until you saw the news, correct?
Correct.
He had never discussed with you getting involved with any case or any crime or any criminal activity, right?
Correct.
And when you saw him back in February, you didn't see any marks on him or any bruises or anything like that, did you?
You know, I really got to say I don't remember, because I remember the cops asked me that, and I said I don't know.
Okay.
I
Okay.
was in that frame of mind right there.
Do you know why you were called to testify here today?
No.
When did you find out you were going to be a witness in this case?
I had got noticed the first time that I had to show up April the 2nd.
Of this
Last year.
Last year, not this year.
And then I showed up, and then they said, well, they didn't say nothing. I never got to talk to nobody. I was here that day, and then, you know, they sent us home, but then they said that it was being pushed back.
Okay. But did you know what the questions were going to be when you testify? What they want to ask you about on the stand?
The questions.
Well, did you talk to the district attorney, either of the district attorneys in court today? Lady sitting here, did you talk to them before today about what your testimony was going to be about, or what questions you were going
They
to be
didn't tell me what the questions were. They just asked me, do I remember certain things?
Okay.
But they didn't put no questions in my head.
I understand. And what things did they ask you if you remembered?
He asked me, did I remember sending the text message to the police officer with the phone number? And I told her, yes, that's my handwriting.
And you talked about that here today, correct?
Yes.
Was there anything else that you were going to testify about today if you knew beforehand?
Beforehand, I didn't know nothing beforehand.
So when you got up here, you just knew you were going to be asked questions about Mr. Baker, correct?
I didn't think I was going to be asked questions about Mr. Baker.
Okay, but you were, and you answered them truthfully, correct?
Correct.
Let me ask you a few things about Mr. Baker. You met him in 2017 about, is that right?
No, I met Rob Baker.
I mean, 1997?
Correct.
Okay. And so, when you met him, what was he doing?
He was managing porn stars.
What was your occupation at that time?
I was running a strip club.
Okay. And Mr. Baker, he was in porn, is that right? Pornography?
I know he was managing porn
Okay.
stars.
I didn't mean acting, I mean in the industry.
Correct.
And you tell me what his position was, if you know, his job was in the industry.
He was a manager of females.
Manager of female pornography stars.
Yes.
Is that right? Did you know whether he was married or not?
Legally, I didn't know.
Well, did
But
he?
then I found out that one girl might have been his wife, but I'm not sure.
Is that Dee?
No,
That's Nikki?
Nikki Fairchild.
Nikki Fairchild. Didn't you tell the police when you were interviewed that he was married to someone named Dee?
No, I told the police officer that I assumed he was married to the girl named Dee. But that's how I met. I met him and Dee the first time together.
And Dee was a dancer for you?
No, she was a porn star.
Okay. So you met both of them back in,
July of 1997.
okay, and then you don't know if he was married to her or not.
I don't know if he was married to her or not.
But you do know at some point after that he was married to Nikki Fairchild.
Yes.
When was that?
Wow, I don't know the date that they got married. I don't know the date. I just knew that they were married.
Well, how many years was it after he was with Dee?
I don't know.
Okay. And how'd you meet Nikki?
I met Nikki through Rob.
Well, do you remember how it was you met?
He was managing her at first, but that's all I know.
And you were managing, or did you own one of the biggest strip clubs in California,
I
right?
was managing one of the biggest strip clubs in California,
What was the name of that strip club?
Bob's Classy Lady.
Okay. And at that same time you were friends with Baker, correct?
We was becoming friends, yes.
And did you then remain friends after that?
Yes.
He also managed other porn stars, is that right?
Yes.
You mentioned names like Carmen Luvana,
Carmen Nirvana,
Lacey Duvall.
Lacey Duvall.
Okay. Were those individuals who were stars in the pornography industry?
Yes.
And we're talking about late 1990s, early 2000s, is that
Correct.
right? When did you stop managing the strip club?
I left in 2005.
And I think you said it was because the law had changed.
The law had really changed, yes.
And what you meant by that, without getting too explicit, is that it was no longer allowing the girls to interact sexually with the customers. Isn't that right?
No, that's not right.
Then you
Well,
tell
I'ma
me and
tell
the
you.
jury why. Huh?
The reason why I left, they was coming down with the rule that, hey, if a girl got busted in the club for doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing, they could take the manager on duty also and arrest him.
Okay.
And I wasn't going to jail for none of them.
And so you decided this was the time to get out.
Exactly. And then the owner sold the place.
Okay.
And I just didn't go back.
You still knew Mr. Baker at that time?
Pardon?
You still knew Mr. Baker at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And you remained friends after that?
Yes.
All the way through to the time that he was arrested, correct?
No, I am still his friend.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm still his friend.
Yes.
Okay. Now, between that time when you were running the strip club and today, what did you do? What was your profession? After you stopped managing?
After I stopped managing the strip club, I went to work. I worked at Dodger Stadium.
Good. Did they win the pennant?
Not that year. Matter of fact, that year they lost a 7-game series for them to go to the pennants to my New York Mets.
So you're from New York originally.
Exactly.
So you're still a Met fan?
Yes.
Let me ask you this: did you know what Mr. Baker was doing after that?
What?
I'm sorry?
I'll rephrase it, Your Honor. After you left managing the strip club, did you know what Mr. Baker's occupation was, or was it still in the porn industry?
He was still managing girls in the porn industry.
And do you know how long he maintained that job, or was it all the time that you knew him?
I would assume all the time that I knew him. I don't know.
You would see him after that playing basketball and racquetball, correct?
And chess.
And chess. Did you ever see him socially? In other
What?
words, go out to dinner with him?
No.
Did you ever see him with other women besides Nikki and Dee?
Total.
Yes.
Give me an example when you would see him with other women.
When he was like you know, if he was trying to become their manager, he would always, you know, he'd be with girls that he was trying to manage in the business.
All right, good-looking women.
Exactly.
He was quite a ladies' man, wasn't he?
Well, that part, I would probably say yes, I guess. I don't know. I didn't pay that kind of attention to him.
Well, you paid attention to him when you saw him, right?
No, we was competing when we saw each other.
Okay, but I'm talking about socially, when you saw him with other women.
No, I wasn't. Well, you trying to make it seem like I was jealous or something. No.
Oh, no.
No,
Certainly not jealous of him now.
I wasn't then either.
Okay. Did he seem to have a way with women when you knew him?
Yes.
And they kind of flocked to him like the bad boy, good girl, bad boy, something like that?
Relevant speculation.
So stand on the second row.
When you saw him with women, who did most of the talking, Baker or the women?
Objection relevant.
Sustained.
How many women would you say you had seen him with in your lifetime? I mean dating.
Dating?
Dating, going out on a date socially.
Well, see, that's a hard question to answer.
Well, do your best.
Okay. If you ask me how many girls that I seen that he was dating, I would probably say 2. But he would be out with other girls to market them, you know, to introduce them to people.
What does that mean to market them?
You know, like trying to get them jobs. You know, like, okay, in my club, we used to have features every weekend, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And they would perform on stage Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 3 shows a day.
What kind of performance?
Like dancing.
Okay.
You
Here
know?
in LA?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, you know, most of the girls in the business, that's how they made the bulk of their money. Not just doing movies like people assume, but they were features at clubs. Clubs here in California, Miami, wherever. They were featured.
And Mr. Baker was right in the middle of that industry.
He would, yes. He would try to get his girls to feature at different clubs and how much money they can get.
Okay. And he was still doing that, as far as you know, until he was arrested, correct?
I assume, I don't know.
Objection speculation.
Sustained. Stricken.
How regularly did you see Mr. Baker in 2017 before the time he came over on Valentine's Day?
We used to play basketball together on Saturdays,
Every Saturday?
almost every Saturday, until I stopped playing. But then I used to go watch.
Did you know who he was dating or married to, if he was, during that period of time?
I don't know.
Did he ever introduce you to any girlfriends or any women he was with?
2 girls that I met that I know of was Dee and Nikki Fairchild.
And do you know if Nikki was still married to him in 2017?
I don't know.
Do you know who he was with if it wasn't Nikki in 2017?
I don't know.
Do you know where he lived?
Off Winnetka and Independence.
Had you ever been there?
No, not until the date that we went to get his stuff from out of
And
there.
that was after he was arrested.
Correct.
So you had a steady sports date with him, either racquetball or basketball, up until the time he was arrested in 2017. Is that right?
Or chess.
Or
Yes.
chess. And who else played with you?
Football?
No, basketball.
I mean basketball?
Yeah.
There was
Anyone you've mentioned here today?
well, me and Howard, you know, it used to be about like, could be like maybe say 12 to 16 people,
Okay.
right? And we play 5 on 5. If you lose, you come off and the next 5 come on.
Yeah, I know.
And we
Always
didn't-
losing. I know.
I didn't know all of them, but I know who they are.
Okay. So, socially, what were you doing in those days? Did you have a wife or a steady girlfriend?
Objection relevant.
Sustained.
At some point, Mr. Baker gave you some pins, isn't that right?
Somewhat?
Pins, like pins, NYPD or Warner Brothers pins, then I see you. mention that in your interview with the police?
I don't remember.
You had a little keychain you showed the police, is that right?
I don't remember.
May I have Coach Mr. Crown, would you take a look and read for yourself? This is page 40, line 28 to line 1, page 41. Could you just read those few sentences to yourself?
Oh, these were the pins.
Does that refresh your memory?
Yes,
Okay, tell me about it.
those were not pins. When I used to work at Dodger Stadium, the chief of police, LA police, used to give me their little coins because I used to park them when they had to attend the games. LA Sheriff's Department used to give me one of their coins.
Okay.
That, you know, and it came on like a little keychain, but that was it.
And you said Mr. Baker gave you a couple of coins.
No.
pins. No?
Mr. Baker never gave me nothing.
Oh, those were from the police?
It was Chief Beck.
Oh, I see. You showed them to the police.
Yeah.
Okay. I got that confused. Sorry about that. Okay. Have 1 minute, Your Honor. Thank you, B. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Any redirect?
The discussion this morning before court about you, with the phone, you stating that you had, when we went over the testimony, that you had sent that photo to the detective. Remember that conversation?
Correct.
With me.
Yes.
And the defense counsel was with us.
Correct.
Okay. So, between 1997 and 2017, then, you knew, when you said dated, you knew Baker then to be with Dee, Nikki, and Madonna, right?
Yes.
Okay, those are,
No.
Go
What
ahead.
what I knew about Baker during that time, it was two females that I said he could have been married to. I didn't know that Dee wasn't his wife. When I first met Dee, I thought that was his wife, but it wasn't. But Nikki was his wife.
okay, so those three, you knew him to have relationships with,
Those two, yes.
too. Right.
Sustain.
So you knew him to have relationships then with Madonna.
I knew him to
Sir,
have a
a second.
relationship
One moment.
with-
One moment, sir.
That's leading us in
Sustain.
Well, earlier you talked about women he dated versus women that were around him that he was promoting.
Those were porn stars.
Right. That's different than the women he dated.
Yeah. Well, Nikki and Dee were porn stars.
Okay.
But those are the only ones that I thought he was married to.
Got it.
But I did know he was with the young lady over here.
The defendant.
Yes.
Okay. And that's what you knew as far as dating relationships or something other than promoting a.
Correct.
Okay. Also, when you testified earlier, when Rob, and we're almost done, when he showed up at your house in February of 2017, did he tell you that he had just come from his friend's house in Vegas?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Would looking at a transcript from that time frame refresh your
Good,
memory?
but I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is page 31, lines 10 through 23. You can just read that to yourself.
Okay. It might have.
Okay.
I really can't remember.
Okay, so,
That's a possibility.
and when you said his boy, did you do the page? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
31, lines 10 through 23. So his boy's house, he came from his boy's house in Vegas before he got to yours. Do you know who that boy is?
It would be Bird.
And when you say Bird, you mean Alfred Birdsong?
Yeah, I always call him Bird. I never call him Birdsong.
Is that where Birdsong lived during that time frame in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Sustained?
Do you know where Alfred Birdsong lived?
I couldn't tell you the address right now, but I've been there, yes.
The city.
Yes.
What city did he live in?
Oh,
No, I bet. Did he live in Las Vegas?
Oh, wow.
he lived in Las Vegas.
Okay.
I don't know all the things about Las Vegas, but Las Vegas.
Yeah. So you've been to his house?
Yes.
Okay.
Once.
One time. When was that?
I can't remember.
Thinking back to when Rob or Baker got arrested, that year, the year before, or long before that?
It was long before that.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
Anything further?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. You're excused.
On his own?
You're done. Please make call the next witness.
Detective Mitzi Roberts.